Today, I always love Baptism Sunday. We had a great baptism in the first service. We're going to baptize 7 at the end of this service today. It's just we celebrate when God takes what is dead and brings it to life, and what was lost and makes us found. And so we have a great thing. I almost just want to plow through the message really fast so we can get to the good part. You know what I'm talking about? So we're looking forward to that today. I do want to let you know that in 2 weeks, I'm going to start a new series called Balanced and Aligned. I don't know about you, but when I get close to Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holidays, the season that's supposed to be peace is hectic and crazy, and it seems like the peace goes with it. And so one of the scriptures and one of the passages that is probably most beloved by so many in our world today, even by those outside the church, is the 23rd Psalm. And it's a passage of scripture that has always centered me. Sometimes our car gets out of balance, our tires get out of balance or gets out of alignment, and you're driving down the road and you're starting to shake if it's really bad, and you're having to work hard to you can't just take your hands, you got to keep them strong on the wheel. And sometimes our lives can become that way. And for me, I have found that the 23rd Psalm has so much packed into it to help bring balance and alignment to my life. And so I just invite you to join me on a journey that we'll start here in 2 weeks, a study of the 23rd Psalm, one of the most beloved passages called Balanced and Aligned. But today, we're going to finish the last of our series called Give Me Three. If you're here today, obviously I want to welcome you. If you're a guest with us today or new in recent days, we especially want to welcome you. Actually, today has some things directly for you in mind, but also for all of us. I also want to welcome those that are joining us online, whether by Facebook, social media, or on our webpage. We want to welcome you as well, too. We're glad you're here as well. Give me three. Not give me three, but give God three. Give God and His church three. The last 2 weeks, we kind of talked about this three-legged stool. We're going to get to the third leg today. Previous 2 weeks, if you haven't been here, the first week was worship. That one of the cornerstones and foundations of building a life that's following Jesus is that we build a life built on worship. Worship of God. It's so easy. We're all worshiping something, and it gets really easy for us me gets in the way, and we make worship about me and what it does for me, when the whole idea is worship is for God. So we're asking everyone that, there's 168 hours in a week, I believe. We're asking, give 1 hour worship all week long, but then culminate that worship through corporate worship. Give 1 hour a week in worship. Give 1 hour a week in service, serving the body of Christ and in community. We talked about that last week. Now we're going to hit the third one today. The problem is with all three of these, worship, service, and community that we're going to talk about today, is me gets in the way. Me gets in the way of what we were designed to do, to worship God, but me gets in the way, to serve others. But even sometimes our serving becomes about us. I love something when I try to think of serving and what it means to not just serve so we get something out of it. Because sometimes I like that good feeling that comes with it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes we start gravitating towards, we just like the good feeling that we get from serving others, and the initial response is to help serve a need. And I've thought about a couple people that I've seen do this. One lives a long ways away. Pastor Aaron's dad is a friend of mine. He pastors a large church in Ohio. And for the last 7 or 8 months, he's not looking for name recognition or notoriety, but for the last 6-7 months, 3 o'clock in the morning, God's been waking him up, or about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and he finds his way down to the Waffle House. And it's not because he's hungry for waffles. It's because he feels like the Lord has laid upon his heart that he has a purpose for him to go to go each Sunday at 3 o'clock. It's kind of when the bars are kind of letting out and people are kind of working off their hangovers or whatever they're doing. He's having these conversations, and just recently we've kind of asked, have you discovered what your purpose is? He goes, I seriously, I have no idea why God's asking me to do this. I don't know what the purpose is behind it, but I know He's just told me to do it. And so I'm going to tell Him I'm going to continue to do it until He tells me to stop. That's serving from a heart just out of obedience from what God calls us to do. Another person in our church and she was horrified when I mentioned her name in first service. But she's one of our seniors, and she's been doing this for years. I don't know how long, but Loretta Morton. is someone who comes in here each and every week, and the seat backs in front of you, they're all kind of neatly aligned. That's not someone paid to do that. That's not a staff person. But each and every week, Loretta just comes in here, and she picks up our messes, the trashes that we leave. She makes all of our seat backs, she makes it aligned and neat again. And she just does that. She doesn't want name recognition. She doesn't want notoriety. But she just sees a need, and she's fulfilling that need. So we've talked about worship. We've talked about service, and me gets in the way of that. And I love examples when we're become selfless and it's not about us. Well, the thing we're talking about today has some of those same things that self kind of gets in the way. In fact, I think it's one of the reasons is because we're part of the selfie generation. In fact, if you want to pull out your smartphone right now, if you have your smartphones with us, in the first service, I encourage them to go ahead and pull out their wallets too. But if you wanted to pull out your smartphone device here in our second service, this is one time that, I'm assuming when I see you with your smartphones that you're reading the Bible, not checking on the Chief scores or things like that. I'm assuming the best of you, not the worst in you. But pull out your, I think this maybe, I didn't do this in first service. Let's just have a little fun as we get started today. You know how to do it. You put it on selfie mode, and you get to see yourself. And this is where we live today, is it not? In fact, I'm gonna get one today with us and get a little selfie. I like doing this too. I'm part of the selfie generation. And you just take a selfie with your neighbor and creep them out if they don't know you. I mean, you could do something like that this morning. But we're so used to everyone. In fact, when we used to go to the Grand Canyon, or we went to the Rocky Mountains, or we went to the ocean, if you went 30, 40 years ago, you'll see pictures of the ocean, of the Rocky Mountains, of whatever that is, that wonder of nature that you saw. And you might see a little picture of someone in there, but it's expanded out so you can see as much as possible in the picture, but there's not very much of you. Today, when we take a picture of the Grand Canyon or the Pacific Ocean or the Rocky Mountains, we see a big picture of our face and a little of the Rocky Mountains behind us, a little bit of the oceans behind us. We are part of and I know I'm being really pessimistic and cynical right now, and the selfie side of me that's pessimistic and cynical says we've all become in some ways narcissists. And it's been licensed. It's like it's been normalized. The promotion of me, look at me, notice me. Well, there's another side to the selfie. I'm not all sarcastic and cynical and pessimistic. The compassionate side of me says that as selfies, we want to be known. Every one of us wants to be known. And we talked about this in a senior high youth group a couple weeks ago, that God created us this way, with this desire to be known by God and to be known by others. You wouldn't be here today if there wasn't an element of you that didn't want to be known. In fact, we have some probably watching online today. There's a little bit of you wanting to be known, but the reason you're watching online is I don't fully want to be with these crazies. I'm not ready for that yet. But if we're here today, there's an element, and it's not an unhealthy thing, but there's an element that we want to be known. UCLA did a study that I could put up a bunch of statistics, but I'm just going to break it down to this simple thing. Lack of physical, relational connectedness. If you're just in front of a screen, that's a lack of relational, physical connectedness. You're going to lack in your health. At the same time, the more that we have relational, physical connectedness, we have stronger health. And this isn't something new that I've come up with. God saw this from the very beginning. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, God said, "It is not good for man to be alone." And he created woman, and we're thankful for that. And that's the context of the scripture. But I don't think it's just the context of a marriage between a man and a woman, but I also believe that God doesn't want it. God calls some of us to a single life. God calls some of us to a married life. Those of us that are married, we still have other connections, and we search and seek out for community. And the same is true for those of us that are single. So it's not just in the context, I believe, of marriage, but it's in the context of we're meant to be connected to humanity. This morning's message is you were made for community. It's the third leg of our stool. The first one, give me three, is an hour of worship each week, an hour of serving, an hour of community. That's what we hope for us as a church. And for you, that's what our hope is that we're doing these three things in our lives each week. We're not shooting for perfection. We're not shooting for legalism. We're not saying you got to be here every week, or for what this may look. Our lives are busy, 168 hours. I know we're torn in so many different directions. But friends, if we want to grow in Christ, if we want to grow spiritually, we have to be intentional. We have to give our lives to some things that take some effort and time. You don't get good playing sports just showing up for the game. We talked about that. You have to practice. You have to engage and be intentional on growing in your skills and abilities. And the same is true in our relationship and following Jesus. He saves us, and that's free, but following him and becoming like him requires intentionality. So we encourage you that one of the three things that we'd love for every person to be part of this church, if you want to know what our discipleship path is, if you want to know what your next steps are, our goal is that everyone would be an hour of corporate worship each week, everyone would be an hour of serving each week, and would be an hour of what we're talking about today, community. For it is not good that we're to be alone. It's also good that it is important that we're known. Jeremiah 12:3 says, "But you, O Lord, know me, you see me." Our avenue and our path for doing that here at this church is life groups. Now today we're changing our terminology. For the last couple years we've been calling them growth groups. We still want you to grow, but we're calling it life groups strategically and on purpose for this reason. Our goal for our life groups is that every person in our church and every person that comes to our church would be known, connected, and cared for. Every person known, connected, and cared for. We believe to be known, connected, and cared for takes place in small groups. It's a wonderful thing that we come and worship together on Sunday morning. We're together in a corporate setting, but real life happens not when we're in rows, but when we're in circles. And the goal of our life group is that everyone would be known, cared for, and connected. Our goal is that we'd have 80% eventually of our church, of our regular attenders in a life group. Right now, it's about 45%, which is really good considering 2 years ago we had about no life groups, or just 5 or 10%. So we don't shoot for 100 because we're realists, but we do want people in life groups. That might be a big step for you today. I have an answer for you here in just a little bit. But our goal is for you to be known, cared for, and connected. Several reasons why. One is I can't possibly know and connect and care for everyone in this church where God has us. I would love to. I'm relational. I like people. But one of my greatest frustrations is I walk out of this place and I was like, what was their name? What was their name? I just met them. In fact, I'm giving myself really a lot of credit. Usually I'm walking away from a conversation with someone, I'm going, what was their name? Crap, I'm terrible. I don't know if anyone's terrible at that, but I'm like, I got faces down, but it's tough to get names down. Statistics show us that any one of us is our maximum capability for relationships. Now, this isn't deep connected relationships, but our maximum capability is about 150 people apiece. You're at a church of about 600 or 700. It's nearly impossible for you to have even some kind of relationships with beyond 150 people. That's why it's so important that we have life groups. Let me share another thing about life groups is we want you to grow. We come to church because we want to grow. We want life groups because we want us to grow. But the reason we're calling it life groups and not growth groups is because we want you living life together. We believe that you are going to grow. And there's so many ways you can grow today. Hopefully you're growing in the Word when we teach each week on Sundays. Hopefully you're growing in the Word by you studying the Scriptures for yourselves. There's so many places online today that you can get great teaching and great places to grow. You got to be careful. They're not all good, but there's a lot of good things out there. But what you can't get by yourself is you can't connect on your own. So our number one goal for our life groups is not Bible study. And don't call me a heretic. Don't send me letters. Don't send me emails. That's a part of the group. But our number one goal for your life group and our life groups is that you're known, connected, and cared for, because that's something you can't do on your own. You can't do by yourself. Now I'm going to flip the coin here. We want to be known. We want everyone to be known, cared for, and connected. But at the same time, there's a flip side to this coin. Sharing life together is not a selfie event. Sharing life with one another is not about just us. Sometimes people go, I really don't need a life group. I'm good right now in my life. I don't need. Someone needs you. It's not all about you. It's about others. And there'll come a time when you do need a group, when you will need to be connected, cared for, and known. Philippians 2:1-4. Paul gives us what the attitude is that we should have. He says, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any fellowship with his Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. Verse 3, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interest of others. It doesn't say that we don't have interests that need to be looked after. It doesn't say that our interests aren't important, that your needs aren't important, but it just says that look out for other people's interests as well. Paul said it another way to the church in 1 Thessalonians. Let's just go with that. 5, chapter 11. He says, therefore, encourage one another. I need your encouragement right now. Just enjoy this for a moment. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. That's why we want everyone in as possible in a small group of people, in a life group, in a Starbucks together, or grabbing a weekly in homes together, because we want you known, connected, and cared for. We want you encouraged. The purpose is for you to leave encouraged. The reason we want you in life groups is we want you encouraged. Encouraged in your faith, encouraged in your walk with the Lord. Here's what I know. I know that if we will go not only for our own interests, and we'll say, you know what, maybe someone else needs me right now. There's going to come a time where I'm going to need. But right now, maybe I don't need anything, but there's other people that need me right now. So you get in a life group and you go with this purpose in mind, one goal in mind. I'm going to go to encourage. I'm going to go to encourage tonight. I'm going to go. Yes, it's taken a little bit of my time this week. Maybe I could be doing other things. Maybe there's things that are drawing and vying for my attention. But I'm going to go and I'm going to encourage people. The thing is about encouragement, when we encourage others, we are the ones that are encouraged. When I go on hospital visits, when I visit people in the hospital, I go with the purpose to encourage. That's my only goal. I go and pray with them for the purpose of encouraging. I go to talk with them for the purpose of encouraging. If I really want to encourage them, Heather comes with me. I go for the purpose of I want to encourage. But here's the reality. Every time I leave, 9 times out of 10, I'm the one that leaves encouraged. I'm the one that leaves with a smile on my face. I'm always so surprised that I go to encourage, but it's me that leaves encouraged. And if you go with the goal to encourage, I promise you, you will leave encouraged. If you will go with the goal of focused on others, I promise you, you'll be encouraged. So I've kind of getting ahead of myself. The power of connecting in community. I didn't give you the first one if you're following along in your notes. The first one is this: life groups provide encouragement to grow spiritually. Life groups provide encouragement to grow spiritually. And I already gave all my ammunition away, so I'm not going to spend time there again. Second thing is this: life groups provide support during tough times. Life groups provide support during tough times. Ecclesiastes 10 says, 2 are better than 1, because together they are more effective. If one falls down, the other can help him up. And rather than me tell you about that, we're going to show you one of our life groups, the Cundy Life Group that started a couple years ago, and this is their story.
When we started, it wasn't like, I know some of the growth groups had already knew people, and invited people that they knew and everything. And because our circumstances were a blended family growth group, we just kind of got thrown together. And it was like, oh, I hope we like these people, because if we don't...
And we found out we don't.
Josh and I got married in 2014, and I moved here to Hutch, and so I knew nobody. Had a few friends at work, but they're work friends. And when I heard about the blended family group, I was like, yes, that's awesome. It's exactly what I needed. I didn't really know anybody else that had been divorced and was dealing with the blended family issues, so it was just really nice.
Being able to bounce ideas off each other and get some support that you don't get from people who haven't been through a divorce.
Yeah.
We did not know anybody in the group, had emailed back and forth with Julie a couple of times, but the first time we met them was when they walked in our house that first night.
One thing I'd like to add, it was such a good connection. We continued to meet even during the down times.
Yeah, even when growth groups take a break, we, I guess, like each other enough that we decided we weren't going to take that break. We need this support from each other so much. Right after we joined the group, so in April of 2018, Mark was diagnosed with ALS. He had symptoms for about a year prior. So we knew something was going on. Instantly, they were all completely supportive and asking, just wanting updates on what was going on. And after several visits and consults, we then going to Kansas City, found out he had ALS.
And it's changed everybody's life, not only the Bennett's life, but it's changed our growth group. And it's made us closer. And I'm so glad that God put us together, because it's allowed us to be there. And that's helped out in a lot of different ways. And it's made me grow because of it. It's important to be loved, and it's important to love. And you can get that if you get connected with the right people.
When we agreed to facilitate the growth group, I thought it was so I could help other people. But in essence, I have found that by watching other people take difficult walks through their faith, it has changed and molded me to be a better person.
Being able to fellowship with people going through the same things you're going through, and Randy said it great, being loved by people you weren't expecting to be loved by.
For me, the growth group has meant a safe place I can be myself.
I found friends that are so close. I didn't think it was possible.
To me, being in a growth group has meant that I don't have to do this alone. I know that God has got my back, but He is doing it through these 4 people.
They're known. They're connected. They're cared for. I really, there's a lot of struggles going on in that group that life has brought to the Bennett family, but can I be honest with you? I don't spend a lot of time. I'm concerned for the Bennetts, but I don't worry about the Bennetts because they're known, they're connected, they're cared for. Can I be honest with you as a pastor here today? I worry about some of you. I worry about you when you leave this place. I worry about you, some of you that maybe you're newer to the church, or even those who have been in the church a long time, but you're not in a group of people. And you're known like we are on Facebook. We got so many friends on Instagram and Facebook, and we've never known more people, and we've never had more people know about us, and yet really not be known. and be so disconnected in our world today. It's not just the downtimes, though. We're going through a season of life in our life group that we got babies being born. We have marriages that are taking place. We have kids that are going to college. It's a time to celebrate too. And when we celebrate, we rejoice with those who rejoice, and we mourn with those who mourn, and we just connect in life together. And we don't live for the thinking of, I got to get in a life group, or I'm not going to get in one because something bad's going to happen. That's waiting for the other shoe to drop. The reality is this: all of us at some time are going to go through stuff. We're going to go through things. We're going to go through hurts. We're going to go through breakups. We're going to go through things that impact us. And we're going to go through health crises and other things. But those who are known, connected, and cared for, when I see Pastor Nate's list of all of our life groups in his office, and he has the leader, and he has the names of all the people that are in that groups, and then he has a list of some names, and you may be on it, that he's trying to look for a group. We're not just wanting to throw you in a group of people and say, good luck. This particular group started because they were a blended family. They had all gone through the pain of divorce. They all had kids that were brought into that, and it was just kind of formed a natural connection for them. Sometimes it's life stages. You know, you're all maybe in ours is kind of heading towards the empty nesters. And there's maybe young married families, or maybe it's because you live in a certain community. You live in Sterling, or you live in McPherson or Inman or somewhere, and we're working to get groups that fit for people. But we want everyone to be known, connected, and cared for. It's wonderful that you come and worship, and we need to do that. It's wonderful that we hear God's word and have biblical teaching. That's important. That's necessary. But we miss a big part of that three-legged stool when we're not connected with one another. So one of the things we talked about last week was get involved in serving. If you don't have time for all three, do worship and get involved in serving, because you will connect with other people when you're serving. It will just take place. We just want to help you take steps. We're not trying to help us jump miles. We want to help you take steps to help you in your walk with the Lord and to have the joy of the Lord. And part of that is being supported during tough times. Thirdly, life groups provide accountability. Proverbs 22:17. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Just piggybacking on what I just said, if I'm honest with you, it's easy for you to sneak in and out of here on Sundays. We actually have a group of some great people that on Tuesdays, they take our list of people that haven't filled out communication cards. The pastors go through that list and go, nope, just a bad boy. No, Rick Roberts didn't fill out his card this week or last week, so he's been here. We knock that name off, and then we say, no, Scott and T, they've been here. They're bad kids. They don't fill out their communication card. And we just, but there's ones that slip past us, and then people come to us and say, we got to know, we've been coming to church. Let us know. Communicate it to us. That's one of the ways we'll stay off your back, if you'll communicate that you're connecting with us. But I'll say this, being in rows in here is not like being in circles. It's not like being in homes. It's not like being together. Life group provides accountability, so you can sneak in and sneak out of here, especially if you're new. We want to connect with you. Trust our heart is to, we pray for new people to come to our church. We exist for new people to come to our church. We've done things for new people to come to our church. We've sacrificed for new people to come to our church. It's important to us. But it can be easy to just kind of sneak in and sneak out. But you can't do that in a life group. You can't do that in a small group of people. Our group knows when someone's not there. We reach out. They know. There's accountability that takes place. And then finally, life groups provide opportunity for prayer. Matthew 18:20, where 2 or 3 come together in my name, there I am with them. I loved in August our 21 days of prayer every night and a focused prayer here, but I love even more the continual prayer that takes place in our groups, in our life groups, when you can't know the needs of hundreds of people, but you can know the needs of your people, and you can be praying for one another. I love the prayer that takes place in our group. It's not complicated. It's pretty short. We like to talk a lot, so and then at the end we have just a few minutes, it seems like sometimes, to pray. But after the prayer, after we have a time of prayer, then a list gets sent out. Scott and T sent out a list to us each week, and it just reminds us of what we prayed for and what we can be praying for this week. And then we add to that list and take away from that list each week. But life groups provide an opportunity for you to be prayed for. Here's where I want to land this plane before I'm so excited for our baptisms today. I just want to encourage you, if you're not in a life group, to consider going on a test drive. We have a friend, I'm not going to say who it is, but they have a nice car, and they're gone and they're away from here right now, and we're driving their car. Yeah, baptism candidates can get ready. They're not disgruntled with the service right now. Our baptism candidates you can get ready right now. We're getting ready for that. Where was I? Help me, Lord. Nice drive, driving a car. So I exchanged my old 2003 beat-up pickup truck, put it in someone else's driveway, and we're driving their nice car around for a couple days because they're away for a couple months, and we asked to do it. It's fun to go on a test drive. It's fun to test something out. And we want to encourage you, if you're not in a life group, we know it can be a big step. We want to encourage you to go on a test drive. And in November, starting November 2nd, after our second service, for 4 weeks, we're going to have a test drive group. You're not signing your life away for a lifetime commitment. You're not making a donation for $19.95. I mean, you're not going to do anything that's weird or crazy, but we're simply going to gather around some food for an hour after our second service. Free food, by the way. That's always a little bit of a hook. And we just want you to, if you haven't tried a life group out, Pastor Nate's going to be leading it. It gives you a little of an idea of what it would look like. And again, we're not going to pressure you signing. We just want you to get a feel, and that could be a next step is for you. And you might just say, hey, life group, and you're not interested in the test drive, but you'd like to have more conversations about that. Again, we're going to work really hard to get you into a place that you fit well. Maybe similar life stages, similar circumstances in life. We're going to work really hard. We just want to throw you to the wolves and throw you to a group. We're going to work really hard. And by the way, if that group's not working out, our leaders are all okay with you stepping out of it and helping you find a group that does fit. Because sometimes we just connect with some people. Doesn't mean we don't like them, but sometimes we just connect with some people better than we connect with others. Doesn't mean they're bad or you're bad, but we just want you to know we work really hard to try to make these things happen. So fill out a life group on the way out today. You can place those on the altars or at our welcome desk on the way out. You can just set your communication cards, just check life group, and Pastor Nate will follow up with you to see how we can best help fit your needs and desires.